Welcome to Women in the Arena podcast, the podcast celebrating women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. I'm your host, Audra Agen, and our mission is to elevate the value, strength, and resilience each woman brings to the world. Without further delay, let's go ahead and start the show. Welcome in, everyone. I am so glad you're here. I am Audra Agen, your host of Women in the Arena podcast, where we celebrate women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. We have yet another remarkable woman here today that I can't wait for you to meet. Thanks for joining me, and let's start the show. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to mix it up a little bit. So, over the last 90 days, I have brought you some amazing, incredible women that I have had so much joy introducing you to. Who you don't know is me. So, we thought that today would be kind of fun to introduce myself to you a little bit more. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let my wonderful lifelong friend, Tisha Lucero, interview me. So she's going to ask me some interesting questions, maybe a few embarrassing ones, and throw me a few curveballs here and there. But the mic is hers. So with that, Tisha, you're on. You're in charge.
Well, hello, and the power is now mine.
Yes.
So the tables are turned, and I think this is a great opportunity for your listeners to get to know you a little bit better and understand the genesis of Women in the Arena. But before we actually go there, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself, Audra? I know these people have been listening to you for 90 days, and they heard your voice and how well you can interview your guests, but no one really knows about you. So just share with us.
No, they don't. Well, I am a married woman of almost 25 years. I will be married 25 years on the 20th of October. We met in college, so we've been married a very long time. We were married as babies. I have 2 children. I have a boy and a girl, both of college age and almost launched, not quite. I am a professional. I have worked in my industry for well over 20 years, and I am a native of Arizona. They do exist. I am one of them. Tisha's another one. There's 2 of us, so now you officially know 2.
Exactly. 25 years, I can hardly believe it. I remember when you told me when Mark proposed and we were 20 something, barely 20. And I was like, are you crazy?
Yeah, I was a little nuts. But I was young and in love. I was 23 when he proposed. I was 24 when we got married. Yeah, we were babies.
Yes, definitely. But you know what? 25 years is a milestone, and that is something to be celebrated. So congratulations to you and Mark for, making it work.
Thank you. It has been not easy. If anybody is married, they'll tell you that marriage is probably the hardest thing you've ever done next to parenting. And it's been wonderful and stressful and easy and difficult all at the same time.
Yep. So give us the light version of where your career started, the industry that you've been in, and then, where you are today and how we arrived at Women in the Arena.
So I started in my industry because it picked me. I didn't pick it. If that sounds familiar and resonates with you, then many of you are probably in the same industry I am. I have been in the mortgage industry space for 25 years, and I've done pretty much everything in it. There's very few things that I haven't done. And it has been an amazing and remarkable ride. There have been ups, there have been downs. You go from hero to zero, sometimes in the same hour. It has made me stretch and grow in ways that I never expected. And it's an exciting place to be.
Yeah, I hear you with that. I too have been in mortgage services and the financial services industry, and you're right. There's ups, there's downs, there's twists, there's turns, and it's definitely a learning in that industry every single day. So that brings us to, what was your inspiration to start this podcast, to start Women in the Arena?
Well, in this space, I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by amazing, talented, intelligent, incredible women. My entire career, I've been surrounded by these women, and I have watched them just work tirelessly to grow in their profession, grow their companies, grow personally, just literally turn themselves inside out and set themselves on fire to achieve a goal and to be acknowledged and recognized for their value. And what I started to see is that wasn't always the case. That didn't always happen. So I thought, something's got to change. The world's going to change. Hearts and minds have got to change because we're evolving. Well, the reality is that it wasn't evolving fast enough. It wasn't changing fast enough. And instead of sitting back and hoping and praying and wishing it would change, I decided to change it. And that's where the advent of Women in the Arena came from. I wanted to give a platform to women, all women, every woman, a platform to be able to highlight their extraordinary lives. And literally, as my tagline says, celebrate women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. And I wanted people to be able to see how valuable they were. But more importantly, I wanted other women, other people in the audience to start to recognize their own attributes within these other women and start to see the value within themselves. And that way we could collectively change the world. That's the plan, change the world.
And that's a hard thing for any one person to do, myself included, is to see the value in yourself and what you bring to your personal space, your own little corner of the world. How do you get these women to recognize that? Because I've listened to your podcast and you have some remarkable women who've come on, but I know they're not, famous or in the limelight. And how do they, come to recognize their own value and what they bring to the table?
The funny thing is that when I speak to these women, they always, not always, but most of the time, they're like, why do you want to talk to me? And I said, because you are amazing. You are incredible. And someone has something to learn from you. And it's through our conversation of getting to know each other, because I always talk to people before I actually do an interview on air. It's through that conversation that we start to tease out this idea, this theme of a particular message that we want to share. And it's through that conversation and through our organic conversation when we record that they start to feel that value. And more importantly, I start to get messages and phone calls and emails and texts from women that have heard these women tell their stories. And I always pass on that feedback to them because I want them to know. I want them to know that their words, their actions, their life stories are making an impact and meaning something beyond themselves.
So I know that you spend time with these women ahead of, actual recording. You get to know them. What have you learned through those conversations, and what value do you bring?
Wow.
Was it going to make it easy for you?
No. It was definitely not going to make it easy for me. What I have learned so much from these women, not only about them, but about myself. One of the things that I have learned is there's a difference between confidence and value. And I have never had a problem with confidence within myself. I think what I struggled with was the value within myself and acknowledging that they're different. And it is through these conversations that I have learned the difference and I have learned my value. And my value is I'm the ambassador, I'm the facilitator, I'm the whatever you want to call it. I am the opportunity to make sure that these stories are heard. And I think that's the value that I bring, is that I'm the method in which these stories can be told.
So, just to give your listeners a framework to work within, how would you then define the difference between confidence and value? Because, based on what you're saying, you've always felt confident, you had that self-confidence, but value was something a little bit different. And maybe if you frame that up for us, people can, just kind of absorb that for themselves.
Yeah, confidence, for me anyway, confidence in me was this knowledge that I knew I could do something. Knowledge that I knew that if you set a goal, I could hit it. Value is a little bit harder to define because value is not always something that you can see. It's not always something that you can wear, you can taste, you can't necessarily put it in your hand. It's not something as obvious as if you set a goal and you obtain it, you can see that. Value is something that you feel. And more importantly, it's something that you feel and you give away. And it impacts somebody else. That is value. It's what you give away of yourself and how it impacts somebody else. That's your value.
Yeah, that's a pretty good definition there. What you give away of yourself and how it impacts someone else. And hopefully that's that we positively impact someone else through our value.
That is the goal. That is the hope, because the flip side is destructive. And that's we don't need any help with that. We got plenty. We got plenty of destruction going on. Value is something I believe is whatever you give away that is positive of yourself, which means you're giving a little piece of yourself away, putting it out into the world to hopefully affect positive change.
So doing this podcast and giving a little piece of yourself away, what are you doing to kind of refuel and refill your tank?
Oh my goodness. That one's a little hard. That one's a little harder. I'm not great at that. I will fully admit that I am not great at that. It's something that I have to do and something that I have to consciously think about to do. I do try and take time out for myself. And for me, that is going to the gym for a couple hours, because then nobody bugs me and I can help reset myself. I don't sit still very well. Anybody knows me, I don't sit still very well. I'm constantly busy. And I force myself to sit. And the only way that I've been able to force myself to sit, and people are going to laugh at me, and that's fine, I don't care. I have taught myself how to crochet because it makes me sit down. And it's the repetitive movement of my hands that allows me to relax and sit. You don't do it very well anyway. You can't stand and move around and crochet at the same time. It just doesn't work. At least I can't, because I'm not that talented. But it does make me sit and it makes me relax. And so those are the things that I do to try and refill my tank.
Is to just spend time alone and relax and get a moment of silence in there in between all the movement, right?
Yes, it is the time that I spend alone. because I got lots of activity going on in my house all the time. So there's not a whole lot of aloneness going on. So it's those moments that I steal away for myself.
So, tying all of this back to value and the value that you bring and the values that others bring to this podcast and sharing, what's the one thing you wish you had known when you began, let's call it your adult journey?
Oh my gosh. I would say, and I've learned this year, and you'll hear me speak about this later in a future podcast with an amazing guest. I wish I had learned earlier to enjoy the ride more. That it isn't always about getting to the end. As a matter of fact, it's rarely about getting to the end. Because when you get to the end, there's always a new end to set. There's always a new goal to set. And I wish I learned earlier than 49 that it is the journey that makes everything worth it rather than the destination.
And that's huge because I think of the world we live in and how fast paced it is and how everything is focused on instant gratification. You forget about the journey along the way.
Yeah, I mean, life moves really fast. And I've said this before, and those of you that are parents, you will relate to this. The phrase is that days are long, but the years are short. And that is never so truer than as you start to get older and you start to realize, my goodness, look how fast 49 years has gone by.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to start slowing things down and you want to start pausing time and capturing it so you can hold it in your hand for a little bit longer. And that's not something that you can easily digest as a 25-year-old. At least I didn't at a 25-year-old. But I wish that it was something that I had learned and taken to heart.
So how do you guide your children, I mean, your adult children now, they're both in their 20s, to enjoy that, understand the value that life brings them and the value that they give back to the world?
Oh, well, we started young. We started with them young. I had to grow up pretty quickly. So my childhood was abbreviated. So when my kids wanted to do things that, let's say, were a little bit more mature than they should, that was a little bit ahead of their skis, I would look at them and tell them that you guys have the right to have a childhood. And I will fight whoever it is who's trying to take that away from you, even if that means I need to fight you. You get the right to be children for a little while longer because it's so short and adulthood is so long. And you will thank me one day.
And that's, you have to strike a balance there because kids want to grow up. I have my own son. He's 11 going on 15. And I have to remind him nearly daily, you're just 11. Do 11-year-old things. Don't worry about it. 15 will come. So how do you strike that balance with them?
It's not easy. It is it is a struggle. I told you that I have a daughter and a son.
Uh-huh.
My daughter is 20. She has always been way more mature for her age. And I would tell her not to be in such a hurry. You need to focus on the stuff that's right in front of you right now. You don't have to solve everything now. You don't have to do everything now. If you do everything right now, you have nothing to look forward to. And she has agreed. She has now, as she's older, she said, yes, I'm so glad that you held me back from this because then when it was my time, I wouldn't have enjoyed it.
That's great. That's really great. So let's see what questions I have for you. So when you think back to Oh no, these aren't the hard questions. These are the fun questions.
Oh,
So when
these
you
are the layups. Oh, okay. I can't
Yes,
wait.
I'm gonna throw you a few softballs before we throw in some curveballs here. But when you think about your journey thus far, your career, your personal life, the getting married at a younger age, having two kids, what resources have helped you along the way, lift you up, and keep you motivated and going?
I have both my husband and I have always done a really good job of creating a village. We've always done that. We've all always been very independent people, but we've done a really good job of creating a village. And part of that is bringing positive resources into their lives. Um, People that they can look towards for advice or to lean on or what have you. But for myself personally, I have leaned on my friends. My friends have always been and always will continue to be my rock. M They've been there, you included, because she she is my longest friend. We've been friends since we were 12, so 2 years.
I'm glad you said longest, not oldest.
I said longest on purpose, longest. That
Good.
was I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. It was longest. We're not going oldest. So, I have always leaned on my friends. And it's the same thing that I have actually told my daughter. I don't believe um, in mean girls. I don't believe in girl fights. I've never tolerated it. And I have told her many times, your girlfriends are not your enemy. Other girls, other teenagers, other women are not your enemy. They are your greatest assets because they will be here to pick you up when you fall. They will be here to cheerlead you on when you need it. They will be here to hold back your hair if need be. Um, they will.
I don't remember any of those times.
Nope, a blur. Um, they will be here. They're here before husbands and children. They will be here after your children fly the coop. They will be here when your husbands get older and they don't want to do as many fun things as you want to do anymore. They are here for you, and that has been my greatest resource is as my girlfriends, because they have been my rock.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Your girlfriends are important. Definitely, the shoulders that we lean on, the shoulders that we cry on, and, they're needed. So, great advice to your daughter. So, just taking into account the state of the world and the pandemic and all we've had to do to adjust, rearrange, and change our lives, what would you say have been the biggest surprises for you in these past few months?
Well, there have been a ton of adjustments. Um, One of which is that we're all here.
Hmm.
There is no running away. We are all here. Um, but and I know everybody feels that. I know everybody gets that. And the just unlimited amount of laundry and cooking that's going on kind of blows my mind. So much cooking. Um, but the thing that has surprised me the most is that COVID shut down, shelter in place, all of that has forced me to slow down, has forced me to sit and stay. I mentioned before, I'm not great at that. I'm really not.
Hmm.
And this has forced me to do what I'm not good at. And it has allowed me time to contemplate things and look at things and realize that there's some things in my life that I wanted to improve, some things I wanted to change, some things I wanted to do more of. And the gift of COVID has given me that. And I know that people are saying, Audra, you're crazy. COVID is not a gift. It is in a couple of ways. It gave me the gift of insight. It gave me the gift of slowing down. It also gave me the gift of spending quality time with my family. We have played more family games, board games in the past 4 or 5 months than we have maybe ever. We have had more fun doing family movie night here at the house than we ever have. It's given us more quality time to spend with each other because we made the statement that we're going to be locked down with each other for quite a while, and we can make the best of it. We could scream at each other or we could have fun with each other, and we decided that we were going to have fun with each other as much as we could. So those have been the biggest surprises, and those have been the greatest gifts of COVID.
And I think it's interesting that you say the gifts of COVID, because you're right. Initially, I think once people got past some of the fear and the panic and they realized that we had to hunker down for a while to get past this, they probably didn't initially see it as a gift. But I, like you, time has been the greatest gift. Time to spend with my son, which I wasn't able to do when I was pursuing my career, on the front end. And I gave up a lot of time with him. So it has given me back that gift of time just to be with, Donovan again. So I'm grateful for that as well. So share with us, what is one game that your family has had the most fun with?
It's the most fun and it's the most competitive, and that is Catan, and that's Catan. And it is a strategy game. It's a ruthless game. It is a lot of fun. It makes you think. And it's hilarious to see what devious deeds your family will do to make sure they win.
Is it an individual game? Or are you playing in teams, or?
Oh no, it is an individual game. It is definitely an individual game. If you've never played it, it is actually, there are worldwide groups that play this game. If you haven't played it, it looks very simple on the surface. It is not. It is not.
Okay.
But it is a good time. It is definitely a good time.
So the question is, have you won?
Nope.
So basically what you're telling your listeners is your strategy is not all that great.
Not when it comes to Catan. No, it doesn't. It's not great at all. And it's funny. Both my kids have won. My husband has accidentally won because he'll be the first one to tell you that he's not great at games, but then he stumbles into winning. I don't know if that's on purpose or if it's genuinely he is stumbling into, oh, look, I won. But no, I have not won yet.
Wow. Okay. Well, you're going to have to let us know when you do win. So now we're getting to the tougher questions.
Aye.
Yes. Outside of your family, okay? So your immediate or extended family. Share with us one person who has been most influential in your life.
That's easy. That's my Grams.
Oh, no. I said outside of your family and your extended family.
Oh, that's so much harder.
Exactly.
Oh, that's not fun. That's not fair at all. Oh my gosh, do I have to know them personally?
Mm-mm. Absolutely not.
Okay. So people that have inspired me. I am inspired. I am inspired by Brene Brown, if you want to know the truth, because I enjoy her story. I enjoy the story of how she picked herself up, and she's self-made. So she inspires me very much. It does not necessarily mean that I want to be her, but she has inspired me to be the best version of me.
That's great. And you can't be her because there's only one of her and only one of you.
That is true.
We were all uniquely made. So your next question is, If you were writing your own autobiography, what would your title be?
I was here.
Oh, now why I was here? What's behind that?
Because from my point of view, we're all put on this spinning rock for a purpose. And I'm hoping that the purpose for everybody, not just myself, is to leave the world a little bit better than when you came to it. And I want to create something that leaves this place a little bit better than where I found it. And that's why I want to say that my autobiography is I was here, because I want to say that I did something to make a difference and change the world. Even if that means I only change a little corner of my world, maybe it means I only influence one life. But I want to use my life to do that.
Well, I would say that's a pretty big deal. And if you think back to the butterfly effect, I'm sure you know what that is, right?
I do.
That if you change one life, but that one life changes someone else, and so forth and so on, then you've really made a big difference in the world.
There have been so many things that have happened to me that I know were a direct result as a butterfly effect, that someone did something in kindness to me that they probably thought was very small that turned out to be really big for me. And I feel compelled to do the same in turn.
And I think you are with the Women in the Arena podcast. So can you share with us, just give us a preview of what's yet to come?
I can. So we have a couple of things planned for the next couple of months. So we're upon October. October is upon us. We've got by the time this airs, which will be tomorrow, because we're recording this on Tuesday. So on Thursday, it is October. We are officially October. I think October is going to be a rough month. And I think it's going to be an emotionally rough month because we have an election coming up at the beginning of November. That is the elephant in the room. You can't escape it. It's coming. And if you're like me, your mailbox is filling up with propaganda. Your TV is bombarding you with ads. Your Pandora might be bombarding you with ads. You are surrounded by all of this political information that's being put on top of you, and none of it's positive, as none of it's a good spin. All of it is, don't pick that guy or that girl because I'm better and they've done this or that. No, the world is giving two big heapings of negativity. So in October, we're going to spend the entire month dedicated to how we give positivity to each other, how we uplift each other, how we give each other strength. So every week, I'm going to have a speaker on that is going to give us actionable items to help one another, lift each other up, and keep going. That's going to be October. November, because we're leading up to the holidays, we are going to highlight a female small business every single week so we can not only hear their stories, but also try and help out their businesses, because our small business owners have really been affected by COVID, lockdown, what have you. And I want to make sure that we give them space so we can help them succeed. So that's what's coming in November. I have no idea what's coming in December. I haven't figured that out. I haven't gotten that far ahead, but I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Well, October and November sound great, especially October, just hearing messages of positivity with some, potential action items or steps we can take to increase that positivity in our own space. And then November, there is nothing like prepping for Christmas shopping. So, sharing those small business, that information with us will be fantastic. And I'm sure we'll hear about new products or services that we all might want to take advantage of.
I can't wait for you all to meet some of these women. These businesses are so cool. I cannot wait to introduce you to them. And I refuse to let COVID ruin Christmas.
Well, we won't let COVID ruin Christmas. And I think what you're doing here with this podcast will definitely help, keep the positivity flowing into the world. I have one more question for you before we close this out. So I know you like to dance. You've always liked to dance. So ever since I met you, there's always been dancing involved in any activity that we've done together. So what is the one song that every time you hear it, it makes you dance, whether you are standing in your kitchen cooking or driving in your car?
Oh, you're setting me up for this. Because you already know the answer. It's the electric slide.
But they don't play that on the radio anymore.
No, they don't. But it's downloaded to my phone.
So when it comes up in rotation, no matter where you are, you start doing the electric slide.
No matter where I am. So I'll give you a little tidbit. Here in Phoenix, we have bingo at some of the casinos. And there is one at one of the casinos that they call Bingo After Dark. And my friend Donnette and I have nicknamed it Bad Girls Bingo. I don't know why. We just did because we think it's funny. Anyway, it doesn't start until 11 o'clock at night. And we go to this bingo game and you play the first half of the games. And then you take like a halftime break and it's a dance party. And the first song they play is the electric slide. And the first time that happened and it came on, I looked at Donnette and I was like, see ya. And I was on the floor. I was out of my chair and on the floor before she even figured out what had happened. So when we finally get to see everybody in person, please come with me to Bad Girls Bingo.
Bad Girls Bingo and the electric slide. Sounds like a ton of fun.
It is never boring.
Never. Any time with you is never boring. That's all I have to say. So it doesn't matter where we are, what we're doing. So it's never boring. And speaking of time, I know your listeners are probably grateful for the time that you're giving them and this piece of yourself by starting this podcast and sharing with others. I know there's still so much more to learn about you. And I hope that you continue to share this with your listeners. I know a ton about you because we've grown up together, but I know your listeners would appreciate learning more about you. So please don't forget to come back on and I'd love to interview you again and I'll have more questions for you.
Oh boy, we're going to, and I may be sorry that I'm saying this out loud, but we are going to do this on a quarterly basis. So Tisha can ask me more questions on what I may have learned in the last quarter about the podcast, about myself. I'm sure she'll ask me a few more things that maybe things that you never imagined about me, but it'll be entertaining for us all.
So if your listeners wanted to submit a question, how would they do that? If they wanted to learn something more about you or just get some information or even possibly be on the show?
There are several different ways that you can reach me. One, we have a Facebook page, and that's just Women in the Arena. We also have an Instagram page, which is arena_women. I have a LinkedIn page, which is Women in the Arena. And lastly, you can just old-fashioned email me, and that is audra@womeninthearena.net.
Fantastic. Well, Audra, it has been a pleasure to speak with you and my honor to interview you. And, it's always a blast.
It is always a blast. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about me, and we'll see you again next time. That's our show. Before I let you go, I have some business that I need to get to. First, I want to thank my guests. I am continually awed at your generosity of spirit and the vulnerability that you continue to bring to our conversations. To you, my audience, you are incredible. Thank you for growing with me, and I hope that I continue to exceed your expectations. And to my team that helps me pull this off every single week. to our composer, Star Diva, who is amazingly talented, to Alan Bruckner, our graphic designer. Thank you for taking my crazy ideas and giving it life. To Savannah Boster, our social media manager. You do this so much better than I ever could. And last, but certainly not least, our producer, my number one son, Gavin Agen. Thank you for supporting your mom with her dream. I couldn't do this without you, kid. Please follow us on our socials at Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at arena_women. See you next week.
This is just the beginning.
That's our show. I am so grateful for each and every one of you and your unwavering support and your continued belief in this movement that has become much bigger than me, much bigger than just a podcast. It has become this forward momentum that we are all doing together. If you are ready, or you know somebody that is ready to tell your story and share your value with the world, please connect with me. You can reach me at audra@womeninthearena.net. I am so honored and thankful that you will share your story with me, and I'll make sure that it is well taken care of. I will never stop thanking each and every one of you, and I cannot wait to talk to you again next week as we share another woman's story and we celebrate her doing extraordinary things in plain sight. We'll see you next time.